Welcome to the Commonwealth Policy Center's Policy Brief. I am Richard Nelson, your host, here with State Representative and Majority Whip in the Kentucky State House, Jason Nemes of Louisville. We're going to talk very briefly about the issue of RFG, reformulated gasoline, which was something mandated by the federal government back in 1996. The goal was to reduce harmful emissions in America's larger size cities. Now, since then, cleaner burning fuel and better built emission systems in our vehicles have rendered this mandate really useless. Many similar sized cities of Louisville have nixed the RFG requirement. Here in Kentucky, Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati have been absolved from following that mandate 4 or 5 years ago. But we're here to talk about why is Louisville and Louisville drivers, why are they still under this onerous and burdensome mandate today? Representative Nemes, you and I talked the other day about it, learned some things, but tell us what's going on with RFG and why Louisville is still under this federal mandate.
Yes, thanks, Richard, for having me on the program. So the reformulated gas is something that we used to use that arguably improved the air quality so we could meet the air quality standards put forth by the Environmental Protection Agency and the federal government. As you said, cars are getting cleaner and the RFG is not needed anymore. So most of the cities, most of the areas, all of the areas around Louisville, Indianapolis, Nashville, Chicago, Cincinnati, and all places in Kentucky except for Louisville have now gotten rid of RFG. So it obviously costs more for Louisville because there's not a lot of volume, so we're the only ones taking the reformulated gas product. And the reason we don't have it, the reason we still have it in Louisville is because every 5 years you have to submit what's called a state implementation plan, and Louisville has an air pollution control board that nobody else in Kentucky has. So the last one that we got rid of, the only other one that existed at the time, was in Northern Kentucky, and Governor Bevin submitted the state implementation plan on behalf of Northern Kentucky, which did not include RFG, the state implementation plan to meet the air quality standards of the EPA. And so our Louisville's state implementation plan was due 2 years later. Mm-hmm. Governor Bevin had to work with the Louisville Air Pollution Control Board, and he anticipated that his request would be without RFG. Obviously, he was defeated. The state implementation plan on behalf of Louisville was submitted to the EPA, including RFG over the legislative objections, which we passed a resolution calling for them to submit an RFP without RFG. They didn't do that, and so now we're trying to force the issue, and we finally got the Air Pollution Control Board to submit what's called, because it's within the 5-year plan, it's actually ask for special dispensation to pull it out. And so they've asked for that, and we feel like it's gonna be favorably received. Finally, the Governor Beshear, who said during the campaign, his first campaign, that he was not for getting rid of RFG, he finally changed his position, and he's asking for the federal government for that exemption as well, which is good. And so is our mayor.
Very, very good, Jason. So we just mentioned that this is no longer necessary because of cleaner burning fuel and better technology and vehicle emission systems. So it's not needed as far as to improve the air quality. But let's talk about the cost.
That's right. And Richard, one other thing, in Mill Creek plant, which is down Dixie Highway, LG&E doesn't have the same. They're not using the same capacity as they used before. There's a couple of them that were offline, so it's a totally different situation now. So we are in compliance with the air quality standards, and so and even if RFG were effective, which it is not, we wouldn't need it anymore. So for those both, we don't need it anymore, and it's not effective.
Now, so the bottom line for Louisville drivers is that it is costing a whole lot of money. I understand it's an additional $137 million a year collectively for all the Louisville drivers who are filling up their tanks at gas stations in Louisville. It's on average 25 cents more a gallon to buy gas in Jefferson County than in surrounding counties.
It's terrible for nothing, Richard. I mean, arguably decades ago it might have been worthy. It's not anymore, as acknowledged by every place around Louisville and everywhere in Kentucky. And I should say it's a little bit of Oldham County and a little bit of Bullitt County as well that's covered, but it's all of Louisville and just a pinch of Oldham and Bullitt. And I don't know about the history of why it's just a little vote, a little bullet, but yeah, it's $137 million to Louisville drivers that should be in their pockets. That's going toward something, outside of Louisville, and that should stay in the pockets of mom and dad, so they'll have more money for their families and for the things that they need. And so it's a no-brainer, and I'm optimistic that we're finally going to get rid of it.
So this was, you mentioned in a previous conversation, there has been some action. Of course, the legislature, you just mentioned there was a resolution, if I
Right.
heard correctly. But what gives you a sense of optimism that this will be corrected? And by the way, are we talking near future? Are we talking next legislative session? Maybe you can't speak to it at all, but I mean, people have been dealing with this for years. There's been talk of getting an exemption for the city of Louisville. Hasn't happened year after year.
Yeah.
So what's your reason for the optimism, if I
Well, we've put a whole lot of pressure on the local governments. Like, for example, the Air Pollution Control Board. We said to them, they admitted to us that RFG wasn't effective anymore. So we said, well, then you need to make a request to remove it, or we're going to remove you from the statute. So we put a lot of pressure on them after they acknowledged that RFG wasn't effective or necessary. So the local level, I think, are now asking for it, which is one. We've also been working with Senator Rand Paul in his office. And also, and I want to be very clear, I'm not interested in getting involved in the Senate race or anything like that. I'm just going to just telling the truth. Andy Barr asked what he could, what are the big issues in Louisville? And this is one of them that we brought up, the legislators from Louisville. And he immediately called the Secretary of the Cabinet and highlighted this issue and has been pushing it. And he's been giving us an update bi-weekly. And so it looks like it's going in the right direction. No announcement yet. I'm very hopeful. It could be in the next week. It could be a month from now, 2 months. I don't know when it's going to come, but I feel very confident that we're going to get rid of RFG. At the bottom line, Richard, and it's been so frustrating, is it's not needed and it's not effective. And so it's just been very frustrating to fight against the powers that be to get rid of RFG, which is an unmitigated benefit to our people. There's no benefit to have it, and there's a tremendous benefit to get rid of it. I mean, 25 cents at the gallon, every gallon. It makes no sense that we have to pay that much.
State Representative Jason Nemes, I'm sure that is good news in the ears of the drivers in Louisville who, if this is rescinded, if RFG, reformulated gasoline, is rescinded as a mandate, it's going to put money back into their pockets. Thank you so much for joining us on this policy brief, and thank you for working on this important issue.
Thank you, Richard. It is important to our drivers in Louisville. Thank you.